Howdy do, buckaroos. It has been quite a day or two. um, so this is, yesterday, I guess day before, I finally caved and bought Outdoor Retreat because it was on sale. So I have wanted to do like a cabiny something, especially with eco lifestyle coming out. I wanted to build something that looked like maybe it could be sort of off the grid, something like that. I didn't really accomplish that. This just kind of is a cabin. But that was my intention, I guess. Um, and I also just, because I properly have tents now, I wanted to use the tents for something. So, I had this idea that I would build a house and then in the backyard have a tent. Uh, and the joke I was sort of making to myself was that the tent would be for an unemployed brother in the situation. I don't know, I guess because my brother is unemployed. uh, so that's what we ended up running with. So there's space in the house for a couple and their daughter, and then in the backyard there's a tent for their brother. uh, yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward. It's kind of weird in the front. I'm not sure why I'm so bad at building shells, but I am, and that's fine. So it's a little weird in the front, but I don't think it's horrible. It's playable and livable and rustic. Is that a good word to use in this situation? I don't know if that's a good word to use in any situation, but it is. Um, I remembered to put a trash can and a sink in the kitchen, although okay, I'm telling you now, because you don't see me do it in the video, but I've changed it by the time I took the screenshots, that I forgot to put a different roof swatch on. So, like, somehow I just completely forgot to put on a different roof swatch. It was on the default one. Even on the gallery, the one I uploaded to the gallery has a default roof swatch. So, just change it to something brown instead of gray. I don't know how that didn't catch my eye immediately, but it didn't. Oh well. Yeah, so I thought I would just let you watch this build. It's a pretty straightforward build. Um, Tell you about the horrifying plumbing situation that happened in the apartment yesterday, because I'm still sort of processing it, like I'm a little bit in denial about it, because it was just so frightening. Like, okay, I'm gonna start at the beginning. So, around noon, we could tell that there was work happening in the unit on the left of ours, and it's pretty hard to ignore when there's work like that happening. It's very loud. But it still sounded like it was on the other side of the wall. And it sounded like somebody was drilling a hole or cutting a hole. It almost was like a sawing noise. And I had gotten back from the grocery store shortly before, and I sat down and I started this build because I really wanted to get a build out. This was supposed to be a short one, and it is a short one. Um, Even though it technically took me 2 days, it is a short one. It's not a very big house. It's not a very detailed house. I just kind of, put one together using some of the new stuff I had. Um, so I sit down, and I'm in the bedroom, which is 2 rooms away from the kitchen. So this apartment is tiny. When you open the front door, it opens into our like living dining room area. On the right, there's an archway into the kitchen, and on the left of that living dining room area, there's a full-on doorway into the bedroom. I'm sitting in the bedroom but with the door open, just building away, doing my thing, being obnoxious, and the banging noise stops for a moment and then gets like exponentially louder. So I went and I looked in the kitchen and it was still like I was just hearing it. So I came back in here and I was working again, trying to get this build done. Again, this build took the first bit of video that I have, and you can see it pause where this is happening. Where I stopped and was like, what is happening? The first chunk of this video, it's only like 45 minutes, so over the course of like 45 minutes, this sound is exponentially louder, and then it starts to, what I thought was happening was that whatever's happening on the other side of the wall was shaking the cabinets in the kitchen. So I get up, and I go into the kitchen, and there is actually something pushing against the inside of the cabinet doors under the sink, like repeatedly pushing under, and as I'm standing there, I see this, like, I hesitate to call it a wire, it's not that, it's like yarn, except made out of metal, so it's like all these pieces threaded together and braided together. It looks like a metal rope. And it starts to like fall under the door, and it's still doing this just really scary like flop thing. Like it looked alive. It was writhing and pushing against the cabinet doors, and I had no idea what to do about that. So we just kind of sit there watching it for a minute. And eventually I get up and I go over because it sort of pauses, and I open the cabinet door. And there's mud and water everywhere. And there's a hole about the size of a quarter in the pipe under the sink. And I'm sitting there staring at it, and this metal rope thing starts to come back through the hole in the sink out onto the floor in the kitchen. It gets as far as the carpet in the living room before I can like get pictures of it and pictures of what it's doing and a video and send it to the landlord, who I get a text back from immediately, saying he'll call the plumbers right away and let them know what's happening. That's not before it creates the most heinous mess I've ever seen, and it wasn't the kind of like grime that soap and water would clean up. Like it ended up all over my feet because I was standing in the kitchen, like trying to figure out what was happening. So it ends up all over my feet. And I tried to wash my feet off with body wash and it didn't work. Like it had stained my feet. It was horrifying. And so the plumbers, when they're done with what they were doing, I don't know what they were doing on the other side of the sink. They come in from the other unit and they see what happened and they have to replace the entire trap under our sink. Like what they were using had literally just punched a hole into the trap under the sink, which obviously means it was like rusted out or something. But so they were in our apartment for several hours replacing the pipe that had had a large hole punched into it by a seemingly alive plumbing rope snake. It was bad. It was really bad. So I finished the build this morning because I didn't really have it in me to do it yesterday. Yeah, but it's massively inconvenient because yesterday I had intended to text the landlord about getting an extra set of keys because my roommate moved in this week. But it felt kind of weird after that to be like, hey, can I also like get some more keys? Like, yeah, I'm sure it's perfectly fine, and I'm gonna have to do it today because we did like the clock is ticking. We need keys. So yeah, that was what was happening while this build was trying to exist. I guess I'll go back to talking about the build now. So I was trying to figure out a way to make this back area feel more secluded. And eventually I just kind of hemmed it in with plants, but I didn't close it off entirely. It's just sort of got an arc of these flowers around it. And, just sections it off a little bit, and then I put some playthings in the backyard for the kids. Well, kids, singular. There's only space for one child in this house. So I put some stuff in for the little girl. I went back to my good friend Woodplank Decorative to, I've been using the word hem a lot lately. I was going to say again to hem in this landscaping section, using a lot of these old wood planks to make it look more intentional. Because like I said, most of my landscaping just looks like somebody dropped a bucket of seeds on the ground for some reason. Yipperoonie, this is my landscaping. So much fun. So exciting. Yeah, I've never noticed that little tiny wooden plank before. Has that always been a thing, or is that new? And I just didn't notice. It could be either. I am not very observant with these things. Yeah, so I think it looks cute and cabiny, and there's a lot of opportunity for really fun storytelling. If you've got somebody living in the backyard. And good times. Also, I think it should be fully functional, the space in the backyard. It has, like, a place to cook food and a place to shower and things like that. So I think you should be able to have a sim fully live in the backyard. But yeah, so screenshots. Like and subscribe. You know the deal. Share this video around. Help with my plumbing woes. Help me get a job in Chicago. You know. All the usual. See you later. But I didn't talk for long enough this time. I don't know what to do at this time. Okay, bye.